Okay, getting things set back up after being in DC for a bit, and I'd love to tell you that I have footage. I have a little bit of footage. That I might be using for a kind of a video watercolor, but that's neither here nor there. As a number of people have noted, the length of my beard seems to change at random and in defiance to the laws of time and space. There is a very simple explanation for this. I pre-record. I record large batches of videos over the course of a day or two. Having a backlog of videos means that I have the time to work on things that require more than one day to get them done. Means I've got time to work on my writing. Also means I have time to work on larger and more planning-intensive video projects. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those coming down the pike in a minute. Huge thanks to everyone who's been following since I kind of rebooted this channel. There is a bit of a catch, though. The catch is the catch with this different direction is that I'm cut off from, by far and away, the most reliable means of gaining visibility on YouTube, which, granted, I was never all that fond of to begin with, but at this point, I can't touch it at all. And that the most reliable means of gaining visibility on YouTube, of course, being drama. Ponage videos, chains of replies, that kind of thing, just does not work with what I'm doing. Does not work. And nary the two shall meet. In a way, you could almost construe this as kind of a social experiment, because in an environment that thrives on the avarice, spitefulness, and pettiness of people, to a large extent, not exclusively, but to a large extent, that's what drives up subscriber counts. I'm kind of relying on altruism instead. I'm relying on people being willing to support things they like instead of supporting things that they hate, which is a phenomenon that I've always found very curious. So we're kind of going against the grain right from the get-go. Literature on YouTube, not exactly the mainstream track for the medium. But the upshot of this is that I need as much support from all of you as you can muster. There are a couple of things that you all can do that will help put me in a position where I can spend a little bit more time writing, thinking about what I'm going to be writing next, making videos, planning more elaborate videos, instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to keep the lights on. And not to put too fine a point on it, folks, but that question is very literal these days. The first and the easiest is to just engage. The usual comment, rate, subscribe deal. It may not seem like it has much of an impact, but honestly, it does. It can have a tremendous impact, particularly regarding the visibility of my work. If I've done something that you liked, that you think somebody else would like, bring it to their attention. Now, from there, the options get a little more extravagant. Obviously, I wouldn't hate it if you bought my book. But if you can't afford to, or just don't get around to it, that's great. Donations via PayPal. I ain't too proud. I am not too proud. If you have an event, a community, or a gathering where you think that what I do would be appropriate, or beneficial, or enjoyed, by all means, put me in contact with whoever you think would be in a best position to make that possible. Another of the ways that you can contribute to what I'm trying to do segues directly into some of the projects and ideas that I have on the table. Now, some of them I can't really talk about, not because they are super, super secret projects, but more because I want to make sure that I can keep a promise before I make a promise. And some of these are by no means certain. But one of the ways that you can contribute that is very, very much appreciated would be making videos of your own. If there's a poem or a piece of writing that you would like to give your take on, whether reading or commentary, that's very welcome. If you have, by some chance, purchased a copy of Waldein's and Kite and want to share your thoughts on it, that would be very, very much welcome. If I've made bits of commentary that you found interesting or that spurred thoughts of your own, even if, particularly if they're thoughts in opposition or clarification to an idea that I presented, that is very, very much welcome. And this segues, all of this falls under the header of my conviction that poetry, well, writing in general, art in general, but poetry in particular, if only because that's the medium I'm most familiar with, is very dialogue-driven. That there is dialogue between the reader and the piece, that there is dialogue between the writer and the performer, that there is dialogue between word and meaning. I mean, just so many layers and so many points of connection. But that connection is always transactional, and as such, I feel that poetry is only enhanced through the exchange of ideas, through the participation of differing people giving differing interpretations or differing performances of a given piece of work. So, by all means, that would be very much appreciated. One of the things that I am going to be doing is asking some specific people to give their take on some of my writing. Some of them are poems that you've heard already, some of them are poems that you have not heard yet. Some of them are already in Waldein's and Kite, and some of them are not yet in an anthology or printed work. And as people either say yay, or I'll get around to it, or I probably won't tell you if they just tell me to go to hell. But I'll draw your attention to that here. Another thing that is in the offing is that I do have quite a bit of work done already on a work of, I won't say conventional philosophy, but it's more philosophy than it is poetry. If only in that the text is more prose-driven. And while that may yet take the form of a book, although if you've been watching, you know I'm not too keen on the idea of writing such a book, if only because I find the writing process for such a book absolutely excruciating. The work that I do have in place is, at the very least, a solid foundation for an outline for a series of discussions or lectures, if you will. And I intend to do that here. Kind of bring a little variety to the table. I'm glad that I haven't driven off everybody with the poetry thing, but I do know that there are people that are keen to see me weigh in more overtly on the subject of philosophy, as that's why they started watching me. There are a couple of off-site video projects in the mix, and those all fall under the category of promises that I'm not going to make because I'm not certain that they are promises that I can keep. So, And so, without any further ado, let's get on with it.